John, at the height of The Sopranos, the series, Gandolfini wasn't just a popular actor, he was also one of HBO's biggest stars and helped put the channel on the map.
Yeah, there's a really important business story here, arguably the most important star on the most important show in the history of HBO. And there's a great story, Betty, about a well-publicized contract dispute that Gandolfini had been having with the network, where he sued and they countersued, saying that if he ended up leaving and the show ceased to exist, he'd owe them $100 million. At the time, the network was generating about $800 million in profit. So it was almost like the network was indirectly saying, you're responsible for more than 10% of our profit. It's a massive number. And he still continues to be important today through iTunes sales of the Sopranos shows, through DVD revenue that they generate, and he's still working on has been working on other projects with them. So an important piece to the HBO story overall.
Certainly important, and he also had some pretty strong ties to some of the most powerful media executives.
Through The Sopranos, yeah. Brad Gray, who's a producer who now runs Paramount, or Chris Albrecht, who was at HBO at the time, who now runs Starz, and probably the most important one being Jeff Bewkes, who is the CEO of Time Warner and somebody who grew up inside HBO, greenlit the Sopranos show in the beginning. And when you think about all the storylines that you hear about HBO, you've got to remember this is one of the most important pieces of the Time Warner empire, in part because the CEO grew up inside that system, saw what happened with shows like Sopranos, and they're trying to sort of make that continue to be one of the crown jewels of what Time Warner is all about. Betty?
Well, and tied into that and the popularity of HBO from The Sopranos, we just saw HBO Go coming to Apple TV.
Yeah, and I think this is where you see the clear distinction between Netflix and HBO. HBO wants to stay inside a system where they get a lot of money. As we mentioned, they're making upwards of $1 billion in profit a year, in part because they get from staying inside that cable world. And so they want to make their service available to Apple TV and Roku and others, but only if it's properly managed by what happens in cable, whereas Netflix, you just sign up, you go ahead, you use it through broadband. So you've got two very distinct storylines happening in that world right now.